The quiet hum of medical equipment filled the laboratory aboard the Korean Space Force's medical research vessel Morning Calm. Dr. Han Soo stared at his microscope, studying tissue samples from deep space organisms. His work was important but routine. Until today. Dr. Han. The voice came through the ship's communication system. Please come to the bridge immediately. This is urgent. It was Commander Kang Doo's voice, and he never used the word urgent lightly. Han Soo quickly saved his work and left his lab. As he walked through the bright white corridors of Morning Calm, he noticed unusual activity. Crew members moved faster than normal, their faces showing mixture of excitement and worry. Something big was happening. The bridge doors slid open with a soft hiss. Commander Kang Doo stood at the center, his normally calm face now showing signs of stress. The large view screen in front of him displayed something Han Soo had never seen before, a massive ship, easily 5 times the size of Morning Calm. Dr. Han, Commander Kang said, we have a situation. He gestured to the screen. This ship appeared 20 minutes ago. They're not shooting at us, which is good, but... He paused, looking uncomfortable. They're asking for you, by name. Han Soo felt his mouth go dry. For me, but how do they even know who I am? The commander pressed a button on his control panel. A voice filled the bridge, smooth, almost musical, but definitely not human. Greetings, Morning Calm. I am Mary, commander of the Meridian vessel Light of Dawn. We have been watching your species for some time. We need to speak with Dr. Han Soo. It is a matter of great importance. The bridge crew looked at Han Soo. He stood straighter, trying to hide his nervousness. Commander, should I respond? Kang Doo nodded slowly. They've been perfectly polite so far. Dr. Kim Ji is already on her way up here. She should hear this too. As if on cue, the bridge doors opened again, and Dr. Kim Ji walked in. She was the ship's head of genetic research and Han Soo's closest friend on the vessel. Her usual cheerful expression was replaced with professional curiosity. I'm here, she said, standing next to Han Soo. What's this about aliens asking for us? Before anyone could answer, the alien voice spoke again. Ah, excellent. Dr. Kim Ji has arrived as well. Now we can proceed. The voice paused. We have a request that may seem strange to you. We need you to examine us. Specifically, we need human medical expertise. The bridge crew exchanged confused looks. Humanity wasn't known for advanced medical technology. Most alien species they'd met had far superior medical knowledge. Han Soo stepped forward. This is Dr. Han Soo speaking. Why would you need our medical expertise? Surely your medical technology is more advanced than ours. A sound like gentle laughter came through the speakers. Dr. Han, sometimes the newest solution isn't the best solution. We have been watching how humans handle medical problems. Your approach is different. Less sophisticated, perhaps, but there is wisdom in it that we may have forgotten. Commander Kang Doo raised an eyebrow. You've been watching us. For how long? Long enough to know that Dr. Han Soo's work on adaptive biology and Dr. Kim Ji's research on genetic stability might hold the key to our survival. Neri replied, We would like to dock with your vessel. I give you my word that we mean no harm. In fact, we are the ones asking for help. The commander muted the communication channel and turned to his medical officers. Thoughts? Kim Ji spoke first. It's fascinating. An advanced species asking for our help. This goes against everything we know about alien civilizations. They usually treat us like we're children playing with toys. Han Soo nodded. Exactly. Either this is a very elaborate trap, or they're truly desperate. He looked at the massive ship on the screen. Commander, I think we should accept. This could be a huge opportunity for humanity. Commander Kang Doo stood silent for a moment, thinking. Then he reopened the channel. Neri, this is Commander Kang Doo. We accept your request for docking. However, we have protocols that must be followed. Of course, Commander. We expected nothing less from humans. Your caution is one of your admirable qualities. We will follow all your protocols." The next hour was a blur of activity. The massive alien ship moved with surprising grace for its size, carefully aligning itself with Morning Calm's largest docking port. Security teams took positions. Medical staff prepared quarantine protocols. Han Su and Kim Ji quickly reviewed everything they knew about alien biology, which wasn't much. When the docking was complete, Han Su, Kim Ji, Commander Kang Do, and a small security team waited at the airlock. The heavy doors slowly opened, revealing their first glimpse of the Meridians. Neri stood in the doorway, and everyone on the human side had to stop themselves from gasping. The alien commander was beautiful in an otherworldly way. Their bodies seemed to shimmer like sunlight on water. They stood about 7 feet tall, with smooth, iridescent skin that changed colors slightly as they moved. Their forearms were long and graceful, and their face had features that somehow managed to look both alien and familiar at the same time. "Dr. Han Su," Neri said, their voice even more musical in person. "Dr. Kim Ji." "Commander Kang Do, thank you for accepting our request." They bowed in a perfect imitation of Korean courtesy. Han Su found his voice first. "Welcome aboard the Morning Calm, Commander Neri. You seem to know a lot about our customs." Neri's skin rippled with colors that somehow conveyed both amusement and sadness. "We have studied your species extensively. Your ways are fascinating to us, especially your approach to medical science." Commander Kang Do stepped forward. "You mentioned something about survival earlier. Are your people in danger?" The alien commander's colors darkened slightly. "Yes, Commander. We are facing a crisis that our advanced medical technology cannot solve. In fact, we believe our advanced technology might be the very cause of our problems." They turned to Han Su and Kim Ji. "That is why we need you. We need doctors who understand the importance of natural processes, who haven't forgotten the wisdom of working with biology rather than trying to perfect it." Kim Ji tilted her head curiously. "You make it sound like being less advanced is an advantage." "Sometimes," Neri said, their skin rippling with new colors, "taking a step back is the only way to move forward." They looked at Han Su. "Doctor, I must be direct. I insist you inspect my body. Our species is dying, and we believe humans might be the only ones who can save us." The silence that followed was heavy with the weight of this revelation. Han Su looked at Commander Kang Do, who nodded slightly. "Very well," Han Su said. "We'll help however we can. But first, we need to understand exactly what's happening to your people." Neri's colors brightened slightly. "Thank you, Doctor. But before we proceed, I must warn you. What you're about to learn about our species might change your understanding of biology forever." As they walked toward the medical bay, Han Su couldn't shake the feeling that this was the beginning of something much bigger than a simple medical examination. Humanity had always looked up at the stars, dreaming of proving themselves to advanced alien species, but nobody had ever imagined it would happen quite like this. Behind them, through the docking port windows, the massive Meridian ship loomed like a sleeping giant. Its organic-looking surface pulsed gently, almost like it was breathing. Whatever secrets it held, whatever problem had brought such an advanced species to ask for human help, Han Su knew that the next few days would be unlike anything in human history. Commander Kang Do watched his medical officers lead the alien visitor toward the medical bay, then turned to look at the Meridian ship again. In all his years of space service, he'd never seen anything quite like it. He just hoped they were making the right decision. But that's the thing about first contact situations. You never really know if you're making the right decision until long after you've made it. All you can do is trust your instincts and hope for the best. For now, though, they had work to do. And somewhere in the vast depths of space, history was being made aboard a Korean medical research vessel called Morning Calm. The medical bay of Morning Calm was unusually quiet as Dr. Han Su prepared his equipment. Next to him, Dr. Kim Ji carefully arranged sample containers and testing devices. Commander Neri sat on the examination table, their iridescent skin changing colors in slow waves. "Before we begin," Neri said, "I need to explain why we chose your ship, your team." Their skin rippled with dots of deep blue, which Han Su was beginning to recognize as a sign of serious concern. "We have watched how humans treat medical problems. You still use such simple methods: surgery, medicines made from plants, letting bodies heal naturally. At first, we thought this was primitive. Now we think it might save us." Han Su nodded, picking up a basic medical scanner. "Can you tell us what's happening to your people?" Neri's skin flickered with patterns of green and gray. "We thought we had perfected ourselves. For thousands of years, we used genetic engineering to make our bodies better. We removed diseases, extended our lives, made ourselves stronger and smarter." They paused, their colors darkening. "But something has gone wrong. Our children are being born weak. Many don't survive. Those who do often have strange problems we can't fix." Kim Ji looked up from her preparation. "You're saying your genetic modifications are failing?" "Worse," Neri said. "They're breaking down in new ways. Each generation is weaker than the last. Our best scientists say we have perhaps 3 more generations before our species can no longer reproduce at all." Han Su frowned as he began his scan. "But why come to us? Our genetic technology is very basic compared to yours." Neri's skin showed a pattern that looked almost like a sad smile. "That is exactly why. Your bodies still know how to adapt naturally. Your genes still remember how to fix themselves without technology. We have forgotten these things." The scanner beeped, showing its first results. Han Su stared at the readings with wide eyes. Kim Ji looked over his shoulder and gasped. "This is..." Han Su paused, trying to find the right words. "Your DNA structure is unlike anything we've ever seen." "Yes," Neri said. "We redesigned it to be perfect. Every strand, every sequence was carefully planned for maximum efficiency." Their colors darkened again. "And that is what's killing us." Kim Ji stepped closer, studying the readings. "It's too perfect," she said quietly. "There's no room for adaptation, is there?" Neri's skin flashed with bright spots. Surprise. "You understand quickly, Dr. Kim." "Yes, that is exactly the problem. We made our genes so perfect that they cannot change, cannot adapt, cannot survive." Han Su set down his scanner and picked up a more specialized tool. "May I take a small tissue sample? We need to study this more closely." "Of course," Neri said. "Take whatever samples you need. My body is yours to examine." Their skin rippled with what seemed like embarrassment. "I apologize if that sounds strange. We are not used to asking others for help." As Han Su carefully took the sample, Commander Kang Du entered the medical bay. He had changed from his formal uniform to his regular duty clothes, but his presence still commanded respect. "How is it going?" he asked, looking at the 3 of them. Kim Ji showed him the scanner readings. "Sir, it's fascinating. The Meridians have engineered their DNA to an incredible degree, but that engineering might be their downfall." Kang Du studied the readings, though much of it was beyond his scientific knowledge. "Can we help them?" Han Su looked at the tissue sample he had just taken. "Maybe. But first we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with." He turned to Neri. "Commander, would you be willing to show us your ship's medical facilities? We need to see how your people have been trying to solve this problem." Neri's colors brightened. "Of course. But I must warn you. Our medical bay is very different from yours." They left Morning Calm through the docking tunnel, entering the Meridian ship. The difference was immediate and striking. While Morning Calm was all clean lines and sterile surfaces, the Meridian ship seemed alive. The walls pulsed gently with bioluminescent patterns. The air was warm and humid, like a summer morning. "Your ship," Kim Ji said in wonder. "It's partially organic, isn't it?" "Yes," Neri replied. All our technology is a blend of mechanical and biological systems. We thought this was the perfect solution. Technology that could grow and heal itself. They touched a wall, and their skin colors matched its patterns for a moment. But like us, our ships are beginning to fail. They reached the Meridian Medical Bay, and both human doctors stopped in their tracks. The room was nothing like the medical facilities they were used to. Instead of beds, there were pods that seemed to be growing from the floor. Instead of machines, there were organic-looking structures that pulsed with light and energy. "This is where we try to heal our people," Neri said. Their skin showed swirling patterns of dark blue and purple, sadness and frustration. But nothing works anymore. Our solutions only make things worse. Han Su walked around the room, studying everything with intense curiosity. "These pods, they're for genetic treatment. Yes, they can rewrite DNA sequences in minutes. They can cure any disease, heal any injury." Neri's colors dulled. "But they cannot fix what we have done to ourselves." Kim Ji was examining one of the organic machines. "The engineering is incredible. But," she paused, thinking, "but maybe that's the problem. You've engineered everything so perfectly that there's no room for natural processes anymore." Neri's skin flashed with bright colors. "That is what we suspect. We have made ourselves too perfect, and now we are paying the price." They turned to Han Su. "That is why we need you. Your species still understands imperfection, still knows how to work with nature instead of trying to control it completely." Han Su nodded slowly, an idea forming in his mind. "Commander Neri, I need to run some tests comparing your DNA with human DNA. I think," he paused, making sure of his words, "I think your problem might be that you've removed too many of the useless parts of your genetic code." "Useless parts?" Neri asked, their skin showing patterns of confusion. Kim Ji understood what Han Su was thinking. "Junk DNA," she said. "The parts of genetic code that don't seem to do anything important. Humans have lots of it. Most species do. But looking at your scanner readings," she gestured at the data display, "you've removed almost all of it." "Of course we removed it," Neri said. "Why keep useless code?" "Because maybe it's not useless," Han Su said excitedly. "Maybe those seemingly unnecessary parts are important for adaptation, for evolution, for survival." Commander Kangdu, who had been quietly observing, spoke up, "Like leaving room for change." "Exactly," Kim Ji said. "It's like..." She thought for a moment, trying to find a simple comparison. "It's like a book. If you remove all the spaces between words, you can fit more words on the page. But then you can't read it properly anymore. Maybe your DNA needs those spaces." Neri's skin showed rapid color changes, excitement, hope, fear. "Can you help us restore these spaces?" Han Su looked at Kim Ji, then at Commander Kangdu. "We can try, but it won't be quick or easy, and it might mean making your DNA less perfect than it is now." "Less perfect," Neri said slowly, their colors shifting to a thoughtful pattern. "Perhaps that is exactly what we need." They turned to face all three humans. "Whatever you need to do, whatever samples or tests you require, you have my full cooperation." And their skin showed a new pattern, one the humans hadn't seen before. "Thank you for being willing to help us." As they walked back to Morning Calm's medical bay, Han Su couldn't help but smile at the irony. Here was one of the most advanced species they had ever encountered, coming to humans for help because they had made themselves too perfect. Sometimes, he thought, the most advanced solution isn't always the best solution. Sometimes you need to step back and remember the wisdom of simplicity, of imperfection, of leaving room for change. In the medical bay, Han Su and Kim Ji began their work, comparing human and Meridian DNA samples. They had a long task ahead of them, but they were ready. After all, helping others was what they had trained for, even if they never expected to be helping beings from another world. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, aboard a Korean medical research vessel called Morning Calm, humanity was about to teach an advanced alien species the value of imperfection. 3 days had passed since the Meridian ship first docked with Morning Calm. Dr. Han-Soo hadn't slept much during that time. He sat in his lab, surrounded by holographic displays showing DNA sequences. Dr. Kim Ji worked at another station nearby, her eyes focused on cell samples through a microscope. Han-Soo, she called out suddenly. Come look at this. He walked over to her station, rubbing his tired eyes. Through the microscope, he could see meridian cells trying to repair themselves. But something was wrong with the process. Their repair mechanisms are too efficient, Kim Ji said. See how the cells are fixing damage instantly. They're not even giving themselves time to adapt. Han-Soo nodded slowly. It's like they've forgotten how to learn from mistakes. He straightened up and looked at Commander Neri, who stood quietly in the corner of the lab. Your people engineered your cells to repair perfectly every time. But that's not how nature works. Neri's skin showed patterns of confusion. Isn't perfect repair better than imperfect repair? Kim Ji shook her head. Not always. Look at this. She placed a sample of human cells next to the meridian sample. When our cells get damaged, they don't just repair themselves. They learn from the damage. They become stronger. Sometimes they even find better ways to work. Like building muscle, Han-Soo added. When humans exercise, we actually damage our muscles slightly, but they grow back stronger. It's not perfect, but it works. Neri moved closer to look at the samples. Their skin rippled with understanding. We removed that ability. We thought any damage was bad, so we made our bodies repair everything instantly, perfectly, exactly as it was before. And that's the problem, Han-Soo said. He walked to his computer and pulled up a complex diagram. Look at this. This is your species' genetic code from 1,000 years ago, based on the historical data you shared with us. The display showed a complex pattern of DNA strands. Han-Soo touched a control, and the image changed. And this is your DNA now. See the difference? Neri's skin darkened with worry. The pattern is much simpler now. Exactly, Kim Ji said. You engineered out all the complexity, all the messy parts. But those messy parts were important. They were like, she paused, thinking of a simple way to explain it. They were like backup plans, extra instructions in case the main ones didn't work. Commander Kang-do entered the lab at that moment. He had been splitting his time between managing the ship and checking on the research progress. Have you found something? Han-Soo nodded. We think we understand the problem now. The Meridians made their DNA too perfect, too efficient. They removed all the natural backup systems, all the redundancy that lets living things adapt and evolve. Can it be fixed? Kang-do asked. Kim Ji stepped forward. Maybe, but it won't be easy. She looked at Neri. We would need to reintroduce complexity into your DNA. Add back some of the messiness that you engineered out. But it's risky. We've never done anything like this before. Neri's skin showed swirling patterns of many colors. Fear, hope, determination. What would happen to us? Your bodies would have to learn to deal with imperfection again, Han-Soo explained. You might get sick more easily at first. You might feel more tired. Your perfect healing wouldn't work the same way anymore. But, he paused, making sure Neri understood the importance of his next words. But your children would have a chance to adapt and survive. Your species could evolve again. Commander Kang-do looked concerned. How would we do this? Our medical technology is far behind theirs. That's actually an advantage in this case, Kim Ji said. She walked to another station and pulled up more displays. Look at this. We've been studying how human medical treatments interact with meridian cells. Our primitive methods might be exactly what they need. She showed them a series of tests where human medical treatments have been applied to meridian tissue samples. The results were surprising. The meridian cells, when forced to deal with simpler, less perfect treatments, started showing signs of adaptation. It's like teaching their cells to think for themselves again, Han Su explained. Instead of just following perfect instructions, they have to learn to solve problems. Neri watched the displays with intense interest, their skin showing patterns that the humans had learned meant deep thought. You are suggesting we need to become less advanced to survive. Not less advanced, Kim Ji corrected. Just more natural, more flexible. Living things need room to change, to adapt, even if it means being a little less perfect. Han Su pulled up another display. We've designed a treatment plan. It would use modified human stem cells to introduce what you would consider genetic imperfections into your DNA. These imperfections would actually be beneficial mutations that allow for natural adaptation. The process would take time. Kim Ji added, we would need to do it gradually, over several generations, and we would need volunteers willing to be the first to try it. Neri's skin suddenly brightened. I will be the first volunteer. Their colors shifted to show determination. As commander, I should take this risk before asking it of others. Commander Kang Du stepped forward. Are you sure about this? The treatment hasn't been tested yet. No, Neri said, their skin showing a complex pattern of emotions. But we are dying anyway. And they turned to look at the human doctors. And I trust them. They understand something we forgot. That life needs freedom to change, even if those changes aren't perfect. Han Su and Kim Ji spent the next few hours explaining the treatment plan in detail. They showed Neri and Commander Kang Du the test results, the potential risks, and the expected outcomes. They used simple drawings and clear examples to make sure everyone understood what would happen. The first phase would take about a month, Han Su explained, pointing to a timeline on his display. We would start with small changes, letting your body adjust gradually. Then, if everything goes well, we could begin treating others. Neri listened carefully, their skin showing changing patterns of nervousness and hope. When can we begin? Kim Ji looked at Commander Kang Du, who nodded his approval. We can start tomorrow morning, she said. We need to prepare the treatment materials and run a few final tests tonight. As they finished their explanation, a young crew member rushed into the lab. Commander Kang. Commander Neri, we're receiving transmissions from other Meridian ships. They've heard about what's happening here. They're asking for help too. Neri's skin showed surprise, then joy. My people are usually too proud to ask for help. This is unexpected. Commander Kang Du smiled. Perhaps they're learning that sometimes asking for help is the wisest choice. He turned to his medical officers. Dr. Han, Dr. Kim, can we help them all? Han Su and Kim Ji looked at each other, then at their research data. Yes, Han Su said. If the treatment works for Neri, we can teach other human medical ships how to do it. We can help save their entire species. Neri's skin glowed with bright, hopeful colors. Today marks a new chapter for my people. We thought we had reached perfection, but you have shown us that perfection isn't always the answer. Sometimes, the most advanced solution is to remember how to be simple again. As the lad grew quiet, everyone felt the weight of what they were about to do. Tomorrow, they would begin a treatment that could save an entire species by making them less perfect. It was strange and wonderful at the same time. Outside the lab windows, the massive Meridian ship hung in space next to morning calm, its organic surface pulsing with life. Soon, that life would change, becoming less perfect but more adaptable, less advanced but more sustainable. And it all started because an advanced alien species learned that sometimes the greatest wisdom comes from those they thought were less advanced. Sometimes, the path forward requires a step back. Sometimes, imperfection is strength. The morning of the first treatment arrived with a mix of hope and tension aboard Morning Calm. Dr. Han Su checked his equipment one final time while Dr. Kim Ji prepared the modified stem cells. Commander Neri lay on the medical bed, their skin showing swirling patterns of nervous excitement. Are you ready? Han Su asked, holding the first injection of human-modified genetic material. Neri's skin rippled with determination. Yes, my people have waited long enough. We must do this. Commander Kang Du stood nearby, watching carefully. Remember, Neri, you can stop the treatment at any time if something feels wrong. Thank you, Commander, Neri said, their skin showing gratitude. But this is our only hope. Kim Ji stepped forward with the scanner. We'll start with a small dose. Your body needs time to adjust to being less perfect. The first injection went in smoothly. Everyone watched the monitors carefully. Neri's perfect biological systems tried to fight the change at first, attempting to fix what they saw as damage. But slowly, the modified genes began to take hold. How do you feel? Han Su asked after an hour. Neri's skin showed unusual patterns, confusion mixed with wonder. Strange. My body. It feels less controlled, less certain. They paused, thinking. But not in a bad way. It feels more alive. Over the next few days, the changes became more noticeable. Neri's instant healing slowed down. Their perfect color patterns became slightly less precise. But most importantly, their cells began showing signs of natural adaptation. Look at this, Kim Ji said one morning, pointing to her microscope. The cells are actually learning. They're developing new ways to handle problems instead of just following their programming. Han Su studied the results with excitement. It's working better than we hoped. The human genetic material isn't just making them less perfect. It's teaching their bodies how to evolve again. Neri spent hours in the medical bay, letting the doctors study the changes. Their skin now showed more random patterns, less controlled but more expressive. I feel different, they said. Less rigid. My thoughts are changing too. It's like I can see possibilities I never saw before. Commander Kang Du visited often, making sure everything was going well. Other Meridian ships are still arriving, he told them. We've had to create a waiting list. They all want this treatment now. 2 weeks into the treatment, something unexpected happened. Neri got sick. A simple cold, caught from one of the human crew members. In the past, their perfect immune system would have destroyed the virus instantly. Now, their body had to fight it naturally. I've never been sick before, Neri said, their skin showing patterns of discomfort, but also fascination. It's unpleasant, but interesting. My body is learning from this, isn't it? Yes, Kim Ji explained, checking their vital signs. Your immune system is building natural defenses. It's not as fast as your old system, but it's more flexible, more adaptable. The cold lasted 3 days. When it was over, Neri's immune system was stronger, more capable of handling different kinds of threats. It was proof that the treatment was working. Their body was remembering how to learn and grow from challenges. 1 month after the first treatment, Han Su called everyone together to share the final results. The medical bay was crowded with both human and Meridian observers. Some had come from other ships to see for themselves. The treatment has been successful, Han Su announced, showing detailed scans of Neri's cellular structure. Commander Neri's DNA now shows signs of natural variation and adaptation. Their cells can evolve again. Kim Ji stepped forward to explain more. The perfect repair systems have been replaced with natural healing. The rigid genetic controls have been loosened. Most importantly, she pointed to a complex diagram. Their reproductive cells show healthy variation. Any children they have will be able to adapt and evolve naturally. Neri stood up, their skin showing bright, joyful patterns. My people were dying because we tried to make ourselves too perfect. These humans showed us that sometimes perfection is the enemy of survival. A Meridian scientist from another ship spoke up, but we will lose so many of our advantages, our perfect healing, our complete control over our bodies. Yes, Neri said firmly, we will lose some things, but we will gain something more important, a future. Our children will live. Our species will continue. and we will learn to be stronger through our imperfections." Commander Kang-do smiled. "Sometimes the best path forward is to remember where you came from." Over the next few months, Morning Calm became the center of a massive medical operation. Other human medical ships arrived to help. The doctors taught other human medical teams how to perform the treatment. Meridians from all over their empire came to receive the genetic modifications. There were challenges, of course. Some Meridians struggled to accept becoming less perfect. Others had difficult reactions to the treatment. But most saw the results in Neri and understood that this was their only choice for survival. One evening, as things were finally calming down, Han-Su found Neri standing at a window, watching space outside. Their skin showed new patterns, ones that would have been impossible with their old perfect control. "Do you regret it?" Han-Su asked. "Giving up perfection?" Neri turned to him, their skin showing thoughtful colors. "No, we thought perfection would make us strong. Instead, it nearly destroyed us." They touched the window glass. "Look at the stars, Doctor. They're beautiful because they're chaotic, unpredictable. Life should be the same way." Kim-ji joined them at the window. "Your people will face new challenges now. Disease, injury, genetic variation. Things you haven't dealt with for thousands of years." "Yes," Neri agreed. "But we will face them together, and we will grow stronger because of them. You humans taught us that." Commander Kang-do entered the room, holding a datapad. "We just received word from the Meridian High Council. They've approved the treatment for their entire species. They're calling it the Morning Calm Protocol." Neri's skin showed surprised happiness. "They named it after your ship." "After all of us," Kang-do said. "Humans and Meridians, working together to find a better way." As they stood there, watching the stars, they all understood that this was more than just a medical treatment. It was a lesson about the nature of life itself. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is admit you need help. Sometimes the most advanced choice is to become simpler. Sometimes imperfection is the greatest perfection of all. The massive Meridian ships still floated nearby, their organic surfaces now showing slightly less perfect patterns. Like their crews, they too would need to learn to be less perfect, more natural. It would be a long journey, but it had already begun. And it all started because an advanced alien commander said 7 simple words. "Human, I insist you inspect my body." In the vast darkness of space, aboard a Korean medical research vessel called Morning Calm, humanity had taught an advanced civilization the most important lesson of all. That life finds its strength not in perfection, but in its ability to change, adapt, and grow through imperfection.